Hi everyone, it's Luke here and welcome back to another video. Today, as you can see behind me, I'm joined by my mum's Abarth 695 XSR. But before we hop inside and get started with the video, let me just run you through a few facts and stats. Abarth is like the Italian equivalent of AMG to Mercedes, giving standard everyday cars a little more spice. Even though it's powered by a tiny 1.4 litre turbocharged engine, it can still accelerate from 0 to 60 in just shy of 7.5 seconds. And then all the way up to a top speed of 135. However, due to it only weighing 1,035 kilos, it's probably the closest thing to a road legal go-kart money can buy. The 17-inch multi-spoke alloys and Akrapovic exhaust system come as standard with the XSR, along with the circuit grey paint finish, which generally gives the car a truly menacing appearance. So like I was saying in the introduction, this is in fact my mum's car. She's had it for near enough a year now, give or take a few months. And in that time she's covered approximately 6,000 miles. Now before she had this, she had the standard Fiat 500, so it's a big step up from that. And yeah, overall she absolutely loves it. Taking a closer look at the car now, we can see that it's finished in a flat grey, almost like Audi's Nardo grey, with this actually called circuit grey. To go alongside that, we've got of course the red accents on the front splitter, on the stripes, and the centre caps and brake calipers. If I zoom into the wheels, actually you can see we've got these 17-inch multi-spoke satin black wheels, which I think this design suits this car so well. Backside we can see the 695 Abarth badge. What I have noticed actually is this car is full of badges, as we'll see a bit later on. But moving towards the back to what I think is my favourite angle of the car. That is for multiple reasons. The first and most important reason, of course, is the fact that it's got my sticker on the back. Link to those are in the description, of course. But anyway, yeah, if I come down to the diffuser there, you can see that it's very aggressive. We've got that red pinstripe going across there, which adds a bit of texture and tone to it. But if I zoom in even more, we can see we have the Akrapovic exhaust. Dual tips on this, and actually the Akrapovic exhaust system comes as standard with the XSR. And as you'll hear a little bit later on in the video, it sounds absolutely crazy, especially seeing as this is a small 1.4 litre turbocharged engine. But as well as that, we've also got quite an aggressive stance across the whole car. We can see that we've got the small lip spoiler at the back. These side skirts, I don't know if they're flared or not, they just seem quite beefy, but going alongside the racing stripes going down the side, it does give quite an aggressive feel. And then of course from the front as well, which we touched on a little bit earlier. One thing I will mention whilst we're at the front of the car is I only noticed this a few months ago. This little grille down here, I'm not sure if you can make it out, actually spells out Abarth. Now we're thinking of changing that, making the Abarth writing actually in red. I think that'll look quite cool. But anyway, yeah, we've got the carbon wing mirrors, which is a very nice touch as well. But if I open the door, hop inside, we can see that it's just as nice. In here then we can see that the carbon extends massively. This whole panel here is all carbon fibre. Got carbon fibre all around the steering wheel and also at the 12 o'clock marker. And also I know they're not on the inside as well, but you can see the edges of the carbon mirrors. As well as the carbon fibre, we've also got a fair amount of Alcantara. We've got the sections of the steering wheel here in Alcantara and also the top of the dash here as well. But in general, like I was saying, this is a very nice place to be. These seats, I'm not sure if they're sports seats or not, but either way, they're quite nice. They're not bucket seats or anything you see here. You can find yourself slipping around if you're going around a corner too fast, but I'll touch on those a little bit later on. For now though, I think that's enough talking. I've got the keys here, let's start it up and get going. So then, like I was saying at the beginning of the video, this car has a tiny 1.4 litre turbocharged engine, producing around 165 brake horsepower. Now, compared to some other hot hatches, it's not great. It's not anything that we haven't seen before, but because it only weighs 1,035 kilograms, this thing is an absolute pocket rocket. You get all that drama and it just makes the whole driving experience so fun and so special. To think that you're pretty much in a tin can, this thing is absolutely tiny and you're just rallying around the place. The steering is so agile, especially when you put it in sport mode. It does stiffen up a bit, as well as the suspension. The suspension is very hard indeed. But yeah, oh, it's just such a fun little car to drive. Now, even though it is quite a stripped down Abarth, not so much as the Biposto, I think this sits just below the Biposto in the range of Abarths, but it does feel quite comfy. If I stick it into normal mode, take it out of sport mode, just cruising along, the clutch is light, the steering goes kind of a little bit spongy, but nothing kind of alarming, and it just completely changes. Yes, the suspension is still quite tough, but these seats kind of transform themselves. Like I was saying earlier, yes, if you're going fast, you do find yourself sliding around because you don't get that support on the edges, but when you're just cruising around town or whatnot, it just is very, very comfortable. And I think for me, that is probably one of the best things about the Abarth. It can be relaxed, it can be a mum-mobile, but when you whack it in sport mode, it just completely changes into an absolute powerhouse. I do need to take it off sport mode because I need to talk to you a little bit more about this car. As you've probably seen, it's got a 5-speed manual gearbox, which is nice. Like I was saying, the clutch is very light when you're just driving around town. Obviously the Abarth came from the Fiat 500, which is probably one of the best city cars in the world. But the only issue I have with it is when you're cruising along the motorway, say it's 70 miles an hour, obviously nothing more, it does feel like you need an extra gear. It doesn't feel like it's blowing up. You can just tell that it just needs that extra gear just to put the revs down a little bit more. But other than that, the gearbox is absolutely fantastic. I'm not sure if they do them in the automatic. I don't think they do, but what I can tell you about the 695 XSR, it's limited to 695 examples, as you probably guessed, but this being one of the hatchback ones, they also do 695 convertibles. I personally think that the hatchback, looks a little bit better. Having that soft top roof kind of ruins the lines of the car, and to be honest, in general, I'm not really a fan of the kind of felt soft top roofs. But yeah, Abarth have got it so right with this car. There are a few negatives though. Like I was saying, the gearbox is one. Another is about the interior. Now, like I was saying when I was kind of drooling over the carbon and Alcantara in here, as well as that, you kind of get this horrible plasticky stuff, which is on the door cards and on the top of the dash. Now in the Biposto, I know it's a lot more hardcore stripped out variant, but you get a full carbon fibre door card. Now with this, it is the original Fiat 500 door card. I mean, my mum, like I was saying, had the original Fiat 500 before this, and this is exactly the same. I think personally it should be at least leather. Seeing as it's got such a nice interior as a whole, I think this horrible plasticky stuff does ruin it a bit. Now, one other problem that I have with the car, and to be honest, any Abarth or Fiat 500 out there, you're going to have the same problem, is the space in the back. Now that is a problem for me because I'm normally either in the passenger seat or in the back of this car. If I'm in the front, I have to have my seat right forward so the person in the back isn't breaking their legs. Obviously it's a tiny car this, and you're never going to have a load of space, but to be honest, if you're driving, it's fine. You have the seat right back and you can have a lovely time. But to be honest, it's not a family car, is it? So I think before I get far too carried away, absolutely hooning this thing around, I thought I'd pull over and kind of explain kind of what this car means to me. Now obviously I've kind of partially lived with this car for near about a year. I do spend a lot of time in the passenger seat, not so much driving it, but even still, I just totally get the car as a whole. And not just the 695 XSR, any Abarth in general, they're all great cars. And to be honest, there's not many cars which would outdo this. Now no, it's not the ultimate Abarth because, let's face it, the Biposto is miles ahead of this still. But for what it is and for what it costs, it's an absolutely stonking car. But yeah, I think I'm going to cut the video here. I hope you guys have enjoyed and learn a little bit more about the 695 XSR. If you're watching this because you're in the market for one, then my advice is to just do it. You will not regret it. Yes, you can get the Biposto, but that is at a price tag. It's a brilliant everyday car. You can just pool around town with it. But then we whack it in sport mode. I can imagine it being an absolute track animal. But anyway, I'm rambling on a bit. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. If you did, then make sure you leave a like and make sure to subscribe for all the adventures coming soon.